E9. In 2019, we executed 142 boards and utilized the services of 94 general officers, 173 colonels, and 100 chief master sergeants as board members. They evaluated a total of 56,090 records. For today's briefing, we'll be focused on the Enlisted Promotion Boards. Historically, the Master Sergeant Board was a 4-week board, the Senior Master Sergeant Board was a 3-week board, and the Chief Master Sergeant Board extended 2 weeks. However, as we moved into the latter part of 2019 and into 2020, the length of these boards increased by 1 week each as we transitioned from enlisted evaluation boards to enlisted promotion boards. I'll explain a bit more about this ongoing transition in just a moment. In particular, we will spend a bit more time on in-board operations to explain the differences between evaluation and promotion boards. Through April 2019, the enlisted promotion selection process contained 2 phases. First, a computer evaluation captured the objective factors, such as PFE, Promotion Fitness Examination, SKT, Specialty Knowledge Test, and decorations, which accounted for 22 to 35% of the total score. And then the Central Evaluation Board provided the subjective factor, about 65 to 78% of the total score. Once these factors were combined, a total score was produced. These total scores formed an order of merit to which the Air Force applied the quota, or percentage, to generate the select list. It's important to note that board members did not know what an individual's objective score was. They simply scored the record on its own merit without benefit of that information. Beginning with the Chief Master Sergeant Board in October of 2019, all enlisted evaluation boards became enlisted promotion boards. Promotion tests and decoration points were eliminated from the overall promotion score. The board score is now the only factor utilized to determine promotion. So what authorities drive the Air Force Enlisted Promotion Board process? Here are our authorities to conduct enlisted boards. Unlike officer boards, which are guided by law, enlisted boards are guided by Air Force policy. Additionally, while in board, we work directly for the Chief of Staff, whereas for officer boards, we work directly for the Secretary of the Air Force. The central stakeholder is the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. Under his authority, we convene all enlisted promotion boards. He also furnishes written guidance and instructions to the board in the form of a formal charge. Each formal charge is unique and based upon Air Force needs for that specific board. Items normally included are Air Force institutional values, the whole person concept, and highlights of any new changes to the enlisted promotion system. Previous Chief of Staff of the Air Force's formal charges can be found easily on MyPers by searching formal charge under Active Duty Air Force Enlisted in the search bar. While these boards are in session, we work directly for the Chief of Staff under the supervision of the Board President. The Board President will always be a Brigadier General. Here's the panel construct utilized for the CY19 Senior Master Sergeant Board. We spread over 23,000 records between 14 panels, consisting of 1 colonel with group command experience and 2 Chief Master Sergeants from the 2 largest AFSCs scored by the panel. For example, a typical support panel would have had 1 Mission Support Group Commander and 2 Mission Support Chief Enlisted Managers. Each panel has designated AFSCs which it scores, so that the same 3 panel members score all of the records from the same AFSC, as competition for promotion is within the AFSC. As stated previously, we also mirror the board membership based upon the eligible population in terms of minorities, women, and command of assignment to ensure a broad range of experiences, leadership, and functional exposure. The board president is a non-voting member and is the Chief Staff of the Air Force's designated representative responsible to oversee the board members and the staff. Their job is to monitor the progress of the board to ensure it proceeds at a comfortable pace in accordance with all directives. They will review records from each panel as board members finish scoring each AFSC. We will describe the board president's role in records review later in this briefing. Bottom line, the board president's primary task is to make sure all those meeting the board receive fair and equitable treatment. Since you are unable to enter the boardroom today, we thought we might bring the boardroom to you. Let's put you in the seat of a board member. As you can see from the photo, the panels are broken up into groups of 3. The desks have the capability to raise and lower for comfort, and the computers have touch screens if the board members wish to use that feature. Our goal in the boardroom is to ensure we are compliant with all laws, instructions, and regulations, but also to ensure the board members are comfortable and confident when scoring records of our future Air Force leaders. On the first day of the board, the AFPC commander provides welcoming comments to our board members. After the commander comments, the board chief and lead recorder for that board present our first day briefing, which is similar to the one you are hearing now. The board president also provides comments and then reads the CSAF's formal charge verbatim. Oaths are administered to both the board members and the selection board secretariat team to swear that they will be fair and unbiased during the board. Our next step is to familiarize the board members with the Senior NCO selection record as seen in the Electronic Board Operations Support System, or EBOS. EBOS is the primary tool used to review and score records. Please note the scoring scale at the bottom of the screen. We will discuss this scale in more detail later on in the briefing. As you can see, we have organized each individual's Senior NCO selection record into 3 sections, which we call stacks. Let's discuss these 3 stacks. In the left stack, board members find all the enlisted performance and training reports for the past 5 years, filed in chronological order with the most recent on top. Additionally, prior to implementation of static closeout dates, there may be training reports for those senior NCOs who attended the Air Force Institute of Technology. Board members may also find an Air Force Form 77 in the record. The Air Force Form 77 may be filed for one of 3 reasons. 1, to document a break in service, 2, to correct an administrative error, or 3, to document an approved appeal action in place of the original evaluation. In the center stack will be any Articles 15s that have been filed by proper authority. These remain filed for 2 years or after 1 senior NCO promotion board. Courts martial conviction orders are also located in the center stack and are permanently filed. In the majority of the cases, the first thing board members will see are citations or orders for all approved decorations, organized in order of precedence. Finally, in the far right stack is a Senior NCO selection brief. This computer-generated one-page snapshot of the Senior NCO's record tracks information such as date of rank, service dates, and duty history. Professional military education and academic education information may also be included, depending on the board. Once board members are oriented to EBOS, we begin our training session, also known as a trial run exercise. The trial run exercise allows board members to see the range of quality in the records and acquaint members with situations they may see during live scoring. The records selected as trial runs are records from a previous board who are not eligible for the current board. These members have been promoted, separated, or retired. Board members score these records by secret ballot without discussion. We ask them to take lots of notes because we facilitate an open discussion afterwards to discuss why they scored a record the way they did. This crosstalk allows board members to fine-tune their individual scoring standard. The ultimate goal of the trial run exercise is consistency. A record reviewed on the first day should receive the same score if evaluated later on in the board process. The scoring scale used to assess the record ranges from 6 to 10 in half-point increments. A 7.5 represents an average record. After scoring begins, it's almost like a library inside the boardroom as scoring is independent and by secret ballot. A recorder must be in the room at all times. Recorders are available to answer questions about records, and usually they are clarifying data on an evaluation brief or tracking down a discrepancy in a member's record. We stress the importance of taking breaks from scoring records and also limit scoring from 0745 to 1700 each day. Once a board goes into session, only those approved in writing are allowed in. As board members score, the Secretariat continually checks the scores given to any one record to ensure there is no significant disagreement or split. A split in an enlisted promotion board is defined as a difference of 1.5 points or more by 2 or more panel members. In this example, Seat 2 gave a 6.5 and Seat 1 gave a score of an 8. This is a split, and the record would come back to the panel for discussion and resolution to within 1 point. To resolve a split, all panel members are present and all other scoring stops. Panel members will review the scores given. All panel members may discuss the strengths and weaknesses in the record. However, the discussion must be based only on information found within the record. Certified board recorders oversee every split and ensure all information shared during the split resolution remains records-based, and no personal information is shared. After all, panel members have discussed the record. Only the panel members directly involved in the split can change their scores. After initial scoring is complete, an order of merit for each AFSC is established. In this example, the AFSC being considered has a total quota of 39. An initial cut line is then drawn on the order of merit at the bottom of the score category, coming closest to filling the AFSC quota without exceeding it. A score category consists of all records having the same aggregate score, which is the total of individual scores determined by each panel member for each record. Since all scores are determined at half-point increments, a score category will normally represent a half-point spread in the order of merit. If the cut line is at a point where the number of cumulative records equal the AFSC quota, as depicted on this slide, this is referred to as a clean cut. In most cases, however, we do not have a clean cut. In the example, we'll use the same 39 quota for the AFSC being considered. As you can see, 35 of the quota have already been determined with the selects above the initial cut line on the order of merit. There are 9 records in the next score category, known as the gray zone, with 4 remaining quota or promotions available. The board president conducts a quality review of records near the cut line and can add records to the gray zone for rescoring. At this point, board members will resolve the gray zone through additional rounds of scoring until all promotion quota are filled. It is important to note that we spend a decent amount of time discussing communication rules with board members. As board members score records, some may find information viewed as important and want to share this with other members on the panel. Each board member was selected because of their individual background and the expertise they bring to the board. However, all board members must vote independently and by secret ballot, and we don't want one item in a record to influence an entire panel based on one board member's perceptions. Therefore, the Secretariat asks board members to run their thoughts by one of the recorders first before discussing them with other board members. Board members are not permitted to gather information from outside sources on an eligible member. The Air Force has promised its members that they will be aware of all information that meets the board. If a board member gathers information on the outside, we violate that promise. Board members may take notes within EBOS. Notes are part of board proceedings, therefore any handwritten notes cannot be taken outside of the boardroom. Finally, board members should use the full scoring scale as intended and not drive splits, a difference of 1.5 points or more on the scoring scale, in order to generate discussion. This goes against the spirit and intent of the process. If the record does not split, the board members will not have been given the individual record the score that it deserves. Now, let's talk about the supplemental board process. Senior NCO supplemental boards are convened for the following 3 reasons. 1. When a person was erroneously coded as ineligible for a board, when in fact he or she was eligible. 2. When a person met a previous board with missing or erroneous data. Or 3. When other criteria specified in AFI 362502 warrants a supplemental look, such as changes to EPRs or changes to higher tenure dates. The Secretariat works with Enlisted Promotions to recreate the original board for the consideree. With the new promotion board, the Enlisted Promotions Office will identify benchmark records for future supplemental boards. 3 records from among the lowest scored selects and 3 records from among the highest scored non-selects are identified. Copies of these records will be stored for future use. During all supplemental boards, board members do not know which records are benchmarks nor which records are considerees. Let's see how this all plays out on a typical case. These procedures apply to both evaluation and promotion supplemental boards. The consideree's record will be compared against the 3+ benchmark records and the 3- benchmark records previously described. The benchmark records are labeled A through F for ease of illustration. For this case, the board scored the records as shown in the right-hand column. Consideree number 1 becomes a select because he or she scored 27 and beat all of the benchmark records in green, D, E, and F, and beat or tied at least one of the plus benchmarks, in this case, blue, in the C in blue. However, consideree number 2 is a non-select because he or she did not beat all the minus benchmarks, in this case, D. You can avoid a supplemental board by ensuring that your records are accurate. In fact, one of the important messages we want to leave with you here today is the importance of records accuracy. So how does an airman ensure their records are correct when meeting the board? We ask that you log into MyPERS. You'll then click on View My Records. This will send you to AFPC Secure. Click OK and verify your credentials. Once in AFPC Secure, please select the PRADA link. Once in PRADA, click on the Selection Folder link. Open your selection folder, which will contain all documents meeting your upcoming board. If you are missing any documentation or need items updated, please work with your local MPF. It is ultimately the member's responsibility to ensure his or her records are accurate prior to meeting a board. We want to leave you today with the assurance that the Air Force's promotion system is indeed extremely fair and equitable. It does, however, require you to be engaged. We encourage you and your subordinates to review your records periodically, but especially before a promotion board. Remember, you, as eligibles and supervisors, have a significant role in the process. Please take the opportunity to speak to the board through EPRs to ensure the best qualified senior NCOs are selected to be our future leaders. Here's our contact information. It appears we have some time remaining to answer questions, so please take this opportunity to ask them, and we and our partners in Enlisted Promotions will answer them to the best of our ability. On an administrative note, Major Joel Allen from AFPC-PB will be in the DCS chat answering questions as well.
Many thanks for joining us. Please type your questions in the chat area. For our Facebook audience, please also type your questions in the chat area.
So this is Captain Sloss here. See, the first question we just got in on the telecon is about someone who's in transferring as a 3-level and how that will affect the board. So what the board is instructed to look at is primarily the whole person concept and job performance. So how well that NCO is performing in his or her current job is an important factor for consideration of how well they will perform in the next higher grade, and that's what they're instructed to look at as the primary indicator of promotion potential.
This is Lieutenant Colonel Hawkins answering the question about the supplemental request. So if you've got a specific request that you have submitted, your commander is already coordinated on, we should respond to those from AFPC within 2 to 3 weeks. If you haven't gotten that, you can work with your CSS or your MPF to re-engage with us so we can get you some answers on whether you're going to meet the supplemental.
So for the question on what records go into the second stack will have any courts martial, Articles 15, and then any decorations that member has earned.
We received a question on DCS regarding the slide availability. Yes, these slides will be published on MyPERS, and the video will be accompanying the slides.
Lieutenant Colonel Hawkins again. The answer on the file freeze for the Master Sergeant Board, we just published that yesterday. It's the 18th of March. Our team that works evaluations will keep working. We just sent out a roster yesterday, to the MPFs of the Master Sergeants whose Scott EPRs we don't have that are promotion eligible. So if you know that you signed your SCOD EPR and you don't see it in your PRADA, please work with your CSS to talk to the MPF to find out if you're one of the records that we're still waiting for the EPR to be filed at AFPC.
So we also got a question on DCS. Is diverse representation looked at for E9s only? For every board that gets held at the promotion board, we look at mirroring the eligibles in terms of minority demographics, command area, job demographics. So we try to best mirror our eligibles in our board membership for all ranks that boards are held for.
We received 2 back-to-back questions on DCS regarding the promotion process. So do you foresee SKT returning to play a part in promotions? At this time, we do not see SKT returning to play a part in senior NCO promotions. And then the very next question was, with the testing out, how will Master Sergeant cumulative scores be calculated? So this is illustrated in our slides with the green circle. So your board score can range from an 18 to a 30, depending on the 3 board members who are sitting on your panel. So that's a 18 to 30 maximum points is multiplied by a factor of 15. So your board score maximum score still remains at 450 points.
We got a question on what the most common error eligible members miss when checking their records to make sure everything is correct. If you're an airman that has a lot of air medals or has had a lot of PCSs with decorations or maybe recently PCS'd, that's something that can take a while to get uploaded. So I would focus on checking everything and making sure all your decorations are in there. Because while only the past 5 years of EPRs will meet the board, all decorations you have earned over your time in the Air Force will meet the board. So we got another question, what is being looked at more, duty titles or bullets within the EPRs? So the answer to that is everything is being looked at. What we're looking at in the boardroom is your performance in your job. So the board members have as much time as they need to go through all of your records to make sure that they're making the most informed promotion recommendation possible.
So Lieutenant Colonel Hawkins, I'm going to tackle a couple of questions that we have on Facebook Live and then a couple that are up here. So in one answer, we got a question on Facebook Live that was asking us about the promotion rate and the impact of PNs and MPs for the Master Sergeant Board. I think everybody probably saw the recent selection rate for Senior Master Sergeant. You know, the answer to the question really ultimately is that Senior NCO promotions are promote to requirement. And so, you know, as the Air Force has requirements in specific AFSCs, we'll see the selection rate adjust based off the requirements in that next higher grade. Obviously, that's affected by sustainment and retainability within specific AFSCs and grades. And so there'll always be some variability, but we always see a pretty steady state within plus or minus a couple of percentage points. Then answering the question about who decides what goes into the third stack. Ultimately, that's the Chief of Staff of the Air Force for enlisted promotions. That's Air Force policy. And so there's no question that the Chief of Staff gets input advisory from the Air Force Senior Enlisted Council, AFSELC, as well as the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. I think if you've got some inputs or questions about that, the right POC would be your command chief, chain of command, talking with your unit superintendent, command chief, elevating that discussion to understand what the Air Force is looking at in terms of what is most valued. And then my add-on to what Captain Sloss just added, I would say also performance. Ultimately, performance is really going to be the most significant influencer for promotion competitiveness. On the enlisted side, we have a highly competitive promotion environment, and so making sure that your performance is meeting your supervisor's expectations all the way up your chain of command's expectations is going to, and that is relayed in your evaluation is one of the most important aspects for sure.
We received 2 questions on DCS regarding board member breakout, which I'll attempt to answer here. So the first of is regarding with AFSW standing up at half, increasing our numbers through aggregation. Will 1Z AFSCs ever have involvement or be invited to participate as board members? So this is a great question. So we group our other MAGCOMs in a singular grouping. Otherwise, you would never be warranted a member on the board. So there is a possibility of an AFSW board member serving on a board. However, for our smaller AFSCs, in this particular question regarding One Zulus, we specifically work with the Chiefs group to target some of these smaller AFSCs to serve on our supplemental boards so that all AFSCs have the opportunity to serve as board members. And then we received another question on DCS regarding what is the general AFSC breakout for each 3-member board attached to each grouping? So as we've talked about, and as this question alludes to, the panels are split up by groups. So operations, maintenance, support, and medical. So the commander or the colonel will be a sitting or graduated group commander from that specialty. And then we work with the career field managers to ensure that we're grouping the right AFSCs together. So we'll have multiple operations, multiple maintenance, and multiple support panels, and we'll attempt to group them in the most similar type of AFSC as possible.
Lieutenant Colonel Hawkins answering 2 questions we got from Facebook Live. One person asked where static closeout dates can be found. That's all available on MyPurse. If you log into MyPurse and search evaluations, you'll see the MyPurse page will load up, and you can select the calendar year 20 static closeout dates as well. And then the next question was about the board charge. As Captain Jew briefed, the board charge is posted out. The formal board charge is posted out there on the MyPurse page. Obviously, this chief of staff may make slight adjustments each board. Certainly, that is something that we would expect he or she to do anytime a board convenes. But the standard content of the formal charge doesn't change significantly. When there is a significant change, we'll make sure we post it on the MyPurse page. So I'd encourage you to go look at that ahead of a promotion board.
We received a question on DCS regarding the selection percentage based off needs of the Air Force. Will members who are in the Space Force or Space Career Field be overlooked due to U.S. Space Force standing up? So at this point, the Space Force is not conducting its own promotion board, so we will include the Space AFSCs, the Air Force Specialty Codes within the Air Force selection boards or Senior NCO promotion boards. So no, they will not be overlooked.
We also got a question on DSS. Is the promotion board able to see an approved retirement date on a member, and does that affect promotion? So board members will be able to see a approved retirement date. That'll be in that far right stack. On how that affects promotion, it is a data point for the board members to review and assess as they see fit as they are going through the records.
This is Lieutenant Colonel Hawkins. I think I'll answer both of I'll try to answer both the questions about force distribution for the Master Sergeant Board and stratifications for Senior NCO boards. Ultimately, that's a component of each of the board members weighing the whole person concept of a record when they're scoring the record overall. So both the force distribution, promotion, allocation that the force distributor assigns for that airman, and then the stratification that the senior rater may be giving a Senior NCO is going to be a component of various things, promotion consideration factors that are being weighed in each of the records. It isn't certainly the end-all, be-all, so if you have a stratification, that doesn't guarantee you're going to get promoted. And the inverse is true. If you don't have a stratification, you still may very well be promoted. It is going to be about performance and overall weighing each of the records independently.
So I'll answer 2 questions that we just received on DCS. So if a member who was in the reserves for 15 years and returned to active duty 2 years ago with inaccurate records, how does this impact promotion? So we always preach that you should do your best to have all records accurate. So if you've already identified the fact that something is inaccurate, you're already ahead of the game. So please work with your servicing MPF to make sure whatever is inaccurate, that you get that corrected before your next promotion board. Then received a question regarding what documents are required in the selection folder. So this is outlined. In the AFI. So in this example, the person has 10 EPRs and 2 decks, and a document from initial entry into the Air Force. So in this particular situation, I can let you know that your 10 EPRs and your decorations should be in your selection folder. However, your document from initial entry will not be.
So we just got a question on Facebook asking why we restrict the amount of time that board members have to review records. So that's a common misconception about the board process. There is no time limit on how long board members have to review records. As long as a board member needs to give that record a score they are comfortable with, we will allot them.
I got a question in the DCS for the Senior NCO Supplemental when it convenes. So the Senior NCO Supplemental Board convenes twice a year in in June and September. The June Senior NCO Supplemental Board is slated to begin on 15 June this year.
Lieutenant Colonel Hawkins, we got a question in Facebook Live about it and a couple of comments on it about promotion results being released early. So specifically, the next one coming up is the Master Sergeant promotion results after the board convenes. Will it be released early with it being board only? It's a great question. It's something our Air Force senior leaders work closely with the AFPC commander, our executive director, and command chief on. Basically, the process after promotion board adjourns, we run a couple of key steps on it. First would be data verification to make sure that everything in the record that's there, that needs to be in the record for promotion consideration is there. And that's really just a second check because that was done pre-board as well. But the takeaway is ultimately if it can be released early, the trend we've had from our AFPC commander is that they are released early. And so we've seen that both with the chief results and the senior results. We really, because of what Captain Sloss just said, we give board members as much time as they need to review records. We don't know for sure that a board will end on a specific day. It ends when it ends once they've done due diligence reviewing all the records. But at the same time, as we get indications the board's about to adjourn, we start ramping up within AFPC all of our airmen to do data verification to get that process started. We start getting scheduled with AFPC commander to outbrief him, and then once we've got approval, we work with Air Force senior leadership to establish a senior rater release date and a public release date.
Staff Sergeant Valencia just answered the question about the Senior NCO Supplemental Board Schedule. The entire Senior NCO Promotion and Supplemental Board Schedule can be found on MyPERS underneath Active Duty, Enlisted, and then the Promotions tab.
We're getting a lot of questions on DCS over how different items are weighted, such as DSD, supervisor's rating, the education, etc. So there are specific items that are pointed out in the formal charge under the whole person concept. So education is important, job performance is important, but there is no rubric that's going to determine exactly how much different items are weighted. So if you're looking at your record and you're trying to figure out where does this look and how competitive am I would recommend sitting down with a chief or senior leader at your base and having them take a holistic look at your performance reports.
We received a question on DCS. If the date approved for retirement is after the record's freeze date, can that approved retirement still be seen? Yes. So in the right stack, the Senior NCO selection brief will contain any approved retirement date, even if it is after the file freeze date.
See a question in the DCS. Regular 20E7 results will come out before and a House supplemental request for 19E7. So any airman who has a supplemental request approved for a previous cycle, should they be rendered a select for that supplemental consideration, the earlier line number will take precedence. So in this example, if you get your results for 20E7 and you're rendered a select, and then you get your supplemental results for 19E7 and you're rendered a select, your 19E7 line number is going to overwrite your 20E7.
Received a great question regarding DSD opportunities and how they're viewed within the boardroom. So Major Allen has answered this question on DCS, but I'll read out this answer for viewers on Facebook Live. From the CSAF's formal charge, this is verbatim, leadership experience gained through breadth of experience from within specialties through retraining in special duties in higher headquarters and joint duty assignments are very important factors when determining who is best qualified. Assignments outside an airman specialty provide a perspective that can be very beneficial to senior enlisted leaders, end quote. So that provides you the guidance that the Chief Staff of the Air Force is providing to these board members, which is read verbatim by the board president. We received a question about, is there any consideration for NCOs to go to a board-only process? At this point, the Air Force is not planning to go to a board-only process for any other rank besides what is currently being boarded. So E7 through E9 for our NCOs.
All right, many thanks for joining us today. AFPC is going to sign out. Thank you so much.